And with the funding, I proposed that we approach the legislature about off-road permit program for bicyclists. You got mountain bikes, you got gravel bikes, you got fat tire bikes, you got e-bikes. I'm a mountain bike enthusiast. I have 4 of them. I would rather pay $15 to $25 for my mountain bikes than have ATV reciprocity go away. That's as strongly as I feel about it. So that would be a funding source. When I talked to Brett Stewart, he called me about this. I talked to him, he had the same philosophy as Chris. After I talked to him about our border issues, he suggested that maybe we could modify 105 to include reciprocity with our border states to Utah. And to me, that's a viable compromise. We can talk about that. But he also told me that with Bill 143, there's going to be an increase of about $2 million to $5 or $6 million. And I don't know I know you don't get it all. I know 3 years ago you talked about how little you get of OHB funding.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing we should look at. I don't know it today, but I think it's an issue. You need funding. I want to support that. So mountain bike, public lands permit fees with the increase of the 143 additional funding. Do we really need to give up reciprocity for $250,000 a year? I don't think so. I think our life as OHB enthusiasts is more important than canceling reciprocity and getting that 250. There's one more thing. Street legal's been my baby for 10 years now. When I called Chris, I asked if 105 affected street legal, and he said, well, yes, it does. And fortunately, I'd read Senate Bill 44 as amended, the previous street legal, and it retains reciprocity for street legal.
Yes, yeah, it does.
I told Chris, I said, I'm going to be watching the legislature next year. I do not want to see street legal reciprocity abandoned through the legislature. Street legal is more important for reciprocity than anything else. For instance, we can drive on the north rim of the Grand Canyon National Park. I think that's the first, maybe the only national park you can do it. Wouldn't it be nice if we could keep working towards reciprocity, maybe be able to ride in Canyonlands, Arches?
Old Elephant Hill.
Why don't we work in that direction towards an expanded, at least a street legal? I mean, that's really my baby. I'll fight that harder than I will off-road. But I think there's some real benefits as an OHB community to us personally, financially, and in our enjoyment of the sport, if we take a harder look at reciprocity.
Just one comment. You said like the bicycles. Was it 2 years ago the legislature tacked on the fees to all of our registration for brain damage, to take care of people who were brain damaged? But they admitted that OHV was 13th on the list. Bicycles was 2nd. They pay nothing. So we're funding all of the funding for brain damaged bicyclists. And trampoline, I think trampoline was number 1. Bicycles was number 2.
Falls was number 4.
I intended to get a hold of Phil Lyman and Carl Albrecht. At least I have some relationship with them. If I had Mike Noel, I'd be talking to him right now. He's gone. I'm going to get a hold of those two about the bicycle off-road permit. You could, whatever the amount is, I don't care so much, but the way I see it, they ride on non-motorized trails, and I see their tracks all over our trails and county roads. I see bicycle tracks. They use our trailheads. They use our maps, right, on the website. So the way I see it, whatever funding could come in from bicycles, we could split it, motorized, non-motorized. I think there's a justification.
At least to get skin in the game then.
Most of the bicycle trails in Moab were paved, so we paid for that too.
Yeah.
I have a question. Chris?
Yes, sir.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot or something,
No.
anything, but can you explain, in your opinion, what a street legal ATV is different than that car right there? Because that car doesn't need a sticker to go to Colorado, to Nebraska, to Oklahoma. Just in your opinion. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, you're not by.
Why is an ATV, street legal ATV, treated differently than that car or that Jeep?
So I believe,
Your opinion.
in my opinion, I believe the Interpact, I think it's called the Intercommerce Agreement amongst the 50 states, allow the individuals of other states that with registered cars in those states to travel cross-country through the interstate system. I don't believe, and I'm no attorney, so don't make me swear on a Bible, I don't believe that it incorporates street legal ATVs or UTVs.
It probably didn't exist when that.
No, it hasn't, and so it's one of those things that, you know, when as Mark and I have talked about, you know, it's something that we are going to still have to go in and look at reciprocity on an annual basis just for street legal. So we'll still continue to do that or go along those lines, and Utah's street legal law is one of probably the most complex, or not complex, probably restrictive across the country. But I believe that interstate commerce agreement needs to be reflected to change because we've evolved.
So that change needs to be made on a federal level then, and do street legal. I mean, the off-road, you're never going to give reciprocity, or however you say that.
Yeah.
Over all 50 states, but your street legal bikes shouldn't be any different than these cars out here, and that needs to come on a federal level, not on a state by state, because you still have to negotiate with each state. So that needs to go on a federal level.
I believe so, because, you know, motorcycles, I believe, fall underneath that commerce agreement. And so that's the hiccup, is that I don't think our federal laws have caught up with technology.
Next time.
If I could, while we stay on this, let me offer an explanation to that, Commissioner. When I proposed the street legal bill for OHVs, I was a King County Commissioner, two-termy.
Right.
And Mike Law got it passed. My vision is that OHVs, because of manufacturer liability and because they're set up with solid axles that, you know, don't differentiate, et cetera, will probably never get federal, nationwide, you know, street legal. But I always looked at it as a scooter, right? A scooter is quasi-street legal. It can't go on an interstate, right? But it is fully accepted in society and through DMV as a legal, street legal vehicle for its purposes. OHVs are primarily off-road. We only want street legal, connect trailheads, to get into a town, to get repairs, to buy groceries, to stay at a motel, those kinds of things. We don't want to go down the highway for 15 miles. No, we don't. It's limited. It's a limited use street vehicle. And that's what I think we as an OHV community should be pushing for, is wider acceptance of our street legal machines, and similar to what a scooter is today. We're not there, but we could be.
Because you want to do that same thing if you're in Colorado or Montana or Oregon or Washington. They all have UTVs, ATV, street legal, OHV. And so you want the ability to go from the KOA campground to a trailhead under the same circumstances. So that could be something that could be put nationwide.
Possibly.
And that's probably where it needs to go.
We're a long ways from it, but I've thought of, this is jumping the subject just a little bit, but I've thought, you know, when I came up with the street legal, it was because national parks and recreational areas restricted OHVs, but allowed street legal in other places. I said, let's make our OHV street legal. That's how it started. And at the time, national parks deferred to state regulations as to what is street legal. As soon as we started our street legal machines, Cape Cannon and Canyonland says, no, we're not going to accept them here. They changed. I don't even know if they did it legally, but they changed it. So what I'm thinking is, it's entirely possible we could get Mike Lee to introduce legislation that street legal across federally managed lands will be determined by state regulation. And then we'd be able to take our street machines on all kinds of federal lands.